Well, hello folks, welcome along. What new features would you like to see in Football Manager 2023? Well, I'm a Custard Prophet, and in this video we are going to be going through my top 5 new features that I want to see in the new game. If you like that idea, make sure you hit a subscribe on the channel to make sure you do not miss any upcoming content. Make sure you like the video as well. Hello folks, yes, we are going to be going through 5 features that I want to see in the new game. We're getting to that stage of the FM22 cycle where, well, let's face it, probably your saves are running down a bit, you're losing interest in the game, and maybe you've kind of put it down and playing something else for now. Maybe Tennis Manager 2022, if you like that sort of thing. I've got a whole bunch of that stuff on the channel. So what we'll do is thinking about what we've learned from the game so far, what things has it got wrong that you would want to see in the new game when it comes out in October, November time this year in FM23. It feels a long way away. So what do we know about FM23 already? Well, the one thing we know is that they are going to be adding women's football into the game, which is very, very exciting. It's going to be really interesting to see how they integrate that in, whether it's something completely separate or whether it you can move between as a manager in women's football and men's football, and whether you actually get women coaches coming into the men's game. That would be really cool to see how they do that. And I imagine that's going to take up some of the time to kind of create that add-on. I'm not entirely sure how much effort it is, but it's certainly going to be a degree of effort to put that in. But there's certainly room for additional features, and in this video we're going to be looking at 5 of them that I'd like to see. In the comments below, I want to see which of those 5 you like, or if you don't like any of them, what new features would you like to see in the new game? Okay, let us move on to number 1. Promises, promises, promises. Oh, they are the bane of my existence in this game. Well, no, let's be fair. A few years ago, Football Manager, or SI, made a big deal in trying to make the relationship between player and manager feel a little bit more real. And they did a really good job in this to some degree. There's a lot of conversations put in. You can talk to them in a lot of ways, and they've been updating that all for each iteration of the game to try and make the experience more realistic, more immersive. The problem I find is that with promises, I don't think they've quite got it right. Often, some of the promises, okay, makes sense. If you're saying, I need to sell a player because he wants to leave the club, you make a promise that you say, we're going to say by this point, fine, that makes sense. But there are other promises often around player position, where they want to play on the pitch, where if you deviate ever so slightly from their the fact they want to play as a deep line midfielder on support and you play them on defend, then all the toys are kicked out the pram, and this does not seem realistic, particularly if you've got a player on loan from somewhere and you say, well, we're going to give him games, but they say, well, actually you've got to play him in this position and this position only, even though you're a small club and are probably going to need to play him in multiple positions, but you can't do that. And yeah, that just does not feel realistic to me whatsoever. So I want to see a better way of kind of players being able to kind of climb down from that, or never quite getting to that level, sort of realising actually this doesn't make sense, or the club saying, I'm not going to terminate the loan because it just doesn't make sense because he is getting some games. And whilst that does kind of occur in game, it too often you get just an extreme response. So yeah, some toning down of what happens in the promises would be exceptional. It's a little thing, and given they're putting women's football in, that is a doable thing, I think. Just refining that promises experience so it doesn't completely ruin your team because you've promised too many people to play in a position and they're not going to be able to all play in the same position because you're stupid and you put that into their contract. We've all done it. So promises, please. Promise, SI, you'll do something about it. Okay, Next one is set pieces. And this is something that people have been after changing for a little while. The problem we have with set pieces, and it's great we have these modules that we can change and tweak the set pieces, changing the role of a player in that position. It's great. The problem I have with that, if I want to put the player here, I can't do any of that. I'm really restricted with where players go, and I guess this is to do with how the free kick is coded into the game, and if a player's over there, they don't know what the hell's going on. But it would be amazing to have a little bit more freedom of where to put players in free kicks, corners, etc. I think that would make a huge difference. You could have like default set piece tactics that you can just kind of go to if you're not familiar, kind of like they do with the main tactics. So if you're going for aiming for a target man, using strength and stuff, yeah, you could have a default tactic in place in the game already that people could go to, so it's not super complicated. But so many people would enjoy being able to create some weird and wacky free kick, which you just can't do at the minute. You can't do a crazy free kick because the game won't let you. So I would love to see a little bit more freedom in this set piece module. Even a complete redesign of it would be awesome. It's been like this for ages. I would love to see some change to this, because the rest of the game has changed. This hasn't, and I think it needs it. Number 3 is infrastructure. Number 3 is all around infrastructure. Now, I play on the channel a lot of Tennis Manager 2022. The game has come out fairly recently, and they have updated the way that they deal with infrastructure in that game in a way that I think it could be learnt from by Football Manager. I think TM22 have learnt an awful lot from Football Manager, but maybe FM could learn something the other way around. And I think I find this kind of thing here, training facilities and youth facilities, you have this kind of tier that you're working up. You ask the board, can I upgrade? They say no or yes, or you all say no, and then you have to kind of go through the rigmarole of convincing them, and they say, oh yes, we believe that you're the manager to do this, and so of course you can have it. The problem I have with this is that what does it mean? Is a good youth facility, a superb training facility? What does that actually mean? It's a really nebulous term. I want these things broken down into their sum parts. So you could ask not for an upgraded total training facilities. Well, maybe you can have that still as an option, but you can have an upgrade. You want to add a swimming pool. You want to add a gym, an improved gym, or something like that. So I feel that would be a really nice way to kind of tailor your facilities to the way you want to play football. You could have bonuses for, if you have a swimming pool, you get an increase in the ability to do stamina training, something like that. And I think that would really nicely sit in with the training that you do and how you want to play the game. Or you could just say, oh, I want just as it is, I want to upgrade everything. But a team that doesn't have a lot of money are more likely to say, I want this little thing upgraded rather than I want this, everything upgraded. I'd love to see them unpack that a little bit, just have a little bit more in there that you could kind of ask for, to bring this part of things to life a little bit more, because we don't know what that training facility looks like. We don't know what's involved in it. It could just be some bright hula hoop things that people are doing twirls with, but we don't know. So it would be awesome to have more detail with the facilities and be able to kind of upgrade them, small chunks of them that link in with your team and your tactic and how you want things to go. I think that would be awesome. I'd be super onto that if that could be included in the game. What do you think about that? Would that interest you, or do you think, I don't really care? Right then, here's an interesting one, or not as the case may be. League rules. Now, what the heck? Why would I want to do anything with league rules? Well, it's not what the league rules are. I've got no issue with those. You've got a lot of detail in there. No one actually looks at them. Certainly Loki never looks at them. But the thing with league rules is that they never change, really. Or they say they do, but they don't really. The structure is exactly the same from day one in the game to year 40. There's no updates to the league rules. So, you don't get suddenly, they expand the league to 10. Well, actually they do, unless it's already been decided in the game. So, for example, the Latvian league, it starts off with, I think, 6 in the first year, and then moves to 10 in the second year. But that's kind of decided beforehand. What I'd love to see is some variety in there. That league rules are dynamic, so they they suddenly start to implement a playoff system in the league, or as the amount of Champions League places becomes more, the playoffs adapt to that, so they actually make sense. I think there's a whole bunch of places where league rules could be a little bit more dynamic to represent, or to link in with how the save has kind of been moving. I think that would be awesome. So you're not always doing the same thing, and then suddenly they add a couple of teams in, or take a couple of teams out of a league to make it a little bit more constant or less concentrated, so there's less fixtures, or it could be all sorts of things. But I would really like that, certainly when, for those of us who play long saves, having a bit of a variety in the way that league rules work would be kind of nice. It would add a layer of freshness to a season when you think, actually, this is a little bit different. We're going to have to think about this in a different way. Yeah, I would like that. I would like that an awful lot. Yeah, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Do you care about the league rules? Would it interest you at all if they changed? Okay, final one, and this is something that people have been trying to get Football Manager to change for an eternity, and it's never happened. It is the international game. We know that a lot of time and effort and thought has been put into perfecting the club game in Football Manager. We have well thought out training that some people can understand. Scouting, all sorts of different processes that have been tweaked to not perfection, but a really good standard, and they make for an immersive experience. In international football, that same care and attention has not been delivered. It's kind of like the forgotten part of the game. It's like SI have thought, this is a great game. What's this international football? I don't know what that is. We'll have a stripped down version of the game for that, because there is no training. You can't train people in international football. Things like scouting, it's not easy to scout, and there's a whole bunch of areas where there just isn't the same level of detail applied. And the international game is a really interesting part of FM, but because it isn't as well developed, a lot less people actually play international football. If you are interested in an international FM content creator, or a content creator who plays a lot of international football, Dodgy Gamer is your man. Go over and support his channel. He does an absolute exceptional job in championing the international football part of Football Manager. But he always says it's just not done very well in the game. There's so many places that it could be improved. I would love to see them spend a little bit more time with the international game. Who's with me on that one? Okay, we are back in the studio, and I've given you a list of 5 features that I would love to see in the game. What did you think of those 5 features? Were they all absolutely terrible, and would you like to see something else? Well, you know what to do. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you would like to see. I'd love to see your thoughts and ideas. Maybe things that also include things that you think FM does really, really well and they shouldn't touch. Drop all those things down in the comments. Okay, folks, well, if you enjoyed that, you know what to do. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe on the video. If you are looking forward to the FM23 and want to see other content on the channel that I'm not already making, Football Manager wise, well, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you'd like to see, and we will look to make it happen. Anyway, folks, I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.